The Grand Chamber of the Galaxy Council was the largest room ever built by any species in known space. It floated at the center of a space station so big that small moons could fit inside it. The walls were made of living crystal that glowed with soft blue light. 12 platforms rose from the floor in a perfect circle, each one holding the representatives of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Today, the chamber was full of tension. Every seat was taken. Every eye was focused on the center of the room, where a hologram of a small blue planet slowly turned in the air. Earth. Ambassador Vethriel of the Corvani hegemony stood on his platform with his 4 arms crossed over his chest. His gray skin was smooth like polished stone, and his black eyes showed no emotion. The Corvani were the oldest species in the council. They had ruled their part of the galaxy for 50,000 years. They did not make decisions based on feelings. They made decisions based on logic and survival. My fellow council members, Vethriel said, his voice calm and cold. We have debated this matter for 300 cycles. We have heard every argument. We have considered every option. The time for talking is over. The time for action has come. He pointed at the hologram of Earth with one long finger. The humans are a problem. This is not opinion. This is fact. In just 200 years, they went from simple machines to nuclear weapons. In another 100 years, they reached their moon. 50 years after that, they discovered faster-than-light travel by studying a crashed Corvani scout ship. Vethriel let that statement hang in the air. Many council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The crashed ship had been an accident, a navigation error. No one had expected a primitive species to find it, let alone understand it. They should not have been able to do that, Vethriel continued. Our scientists say it should take any species at least 2,000 years to reverse engineer Corvani shield technology. The humans did it in 15 years. 15 years. A murmur went through the chamber. The Sileni representative, a tall being made of flowing silver light, raised a hand. Ambassador Vethriel, she said in a voice like wind chimes. The humans have shown no aggression toward council space. They have not attacked anyone. They have only expanded to empty systems. Is it right to punish them for being intelligent? Vethriel turned his cold eyes toward her. You call it intelligence. I call it danger. Today they copy our shields. Tomorrow they copy our weapons. In 100 years, they will have technology that matches ours. In 500 years, they may surpass us. He pressed a button on his platform, and the hologram changed. It now showed population numbers. The numbers were growing fast, very fast. They breed like insects, Vethriel said. 8 billion on their homeworld alone. Another 2 billion in their colony systems. Their population doubles every 60 years. Our population has been stable for 10,000 years. The Morvathi have been stable for 8,000. The humans, they multiply without limit. The Morvathi representative, a large creature with brown fur and gentle eyes, spoke up. Population growth does not make a species evil, Ambassador. No, Vethriel agreed. But it makes them hungry. Hungry for resources. Hungry for space. Hungry for power. And when they run out of empty systems to take, where do you think they will look next? Silence fell over the chamber. Everyone knew the answer. They would look at the systems controlled by the Council. Systems full of resources. Systems with planets that humans could live on. Vethriel pressed another button. The hologram changed again, showing clips of human history. Wars, explosions, cities burning, soldiers marching, nuclear mushroom clouds rising into the sky. This is what they do to each other, Vethriel said softly. This is how they treat their own kind. Imagine what they will do to us, to species they see as alien, as different, as other. The chamber was completely silent now. The images continued to play. A human general giving a speech about victory. Prisoners being led away in chains. A flag being planted on conquered ground. They are not like us, Vethriel said. They do not value peace. They do not value cooperation. They value conquest. They value dominance. They value winning. And they are very, very good at winning. He turned off the hologram and looked around the chamber slowly, meeting the eyes of every representative. I am not asking you to do something evil, he said. I am asking you to protect your people, your children, your future. The humans are young. They are small. They are contained to one corner of the galaxy. If we act now, the problem ends. If we wait, The problem grows until it cannot be stopped. The Selene representative spoke again. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? Vethril's face showed no emotion as he answered. Cleansing protocol. Full planetary sterilization of the human homeworld and all colony systems. Complete elimination of the species before they become a threat that we cannot handle. Gasps filled the chamber. Some representatives looked horrified. Others looked thoughtful. A few nodded slowly in agreement. The Morvathi representative stood up, his fur bristling with anger. This is genocide, he growled. You are talking about killing billions of innocent people, children, families, people who have done nothing wrong except be born human. I am talking about survival. Vethril replied calmly. Our survival. If we do not act, our children will face a war they cannot win. Our grandchildren will live under human rule, or they will not live at all. I do not enjoy this decision, but I accept it as necessary. The debate continued for hours. Some spoke for mercy. Some spoke for waiting and watching. Some spoke for Vethril's plan. Arguments flew back and forth like weapons, each one trying to hit its target. But in the end, fear won. When the vote was called, the result was clear. 12 species. 9 voted yes. 3 voted no. The Morvathi representative walked out in disgust. The Selene lowered her head in shame. But the decision was made. The cleansing protocol was authorized. Fleet Admiral Zirthax received his orders within the hour. He was a Corvani warrior who had served for 300 years. He had destroyed rebellions, crushed pirates, and brought order to chaos across 1,000 systems. Now he would add another accomplishment to his record. He would end the human species. His armada was already assembled 4,000 warships, the largest fleet ever gathered in Council history. They carried enough firepower to crack planets open like eggs. They carried soldiers trained to eliminate any survivors. They carried the will of the Galaxy Council. Zirthax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Judgment, and watched as his fleet prepared to enter slipspace. The journey to Earth would take 40 planetary rotations. 40 rotations, and then it would be over. The human problem would be solved forever. Admiral, his communications officer said, the Council sends their regards. They say that history will remember you as a hero. Zirthax nodded slowly. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a surgeon cutting out a disease before it could spread. It was necessary. It was logical. It was the right thing to do. He gave the order, and 4,000 ships vanished into slipspace. Behind them, the Galaxy Council celebrated. They had acted decisively. They had protected the galaxy from a dangerous threat. They had made the hard choice that weaker leaders would have avoided. They raised glasses of expensive drinks. They congratulated each other on their wisdom. They talked about how peaceful the galaxy would be without the humans to worry about. They had no idea that they were already too late. Far away, on the little blue planet called Earth, humans looked up at the stars. They did not know that death was coming. They went to work, played with their children, dreamed about the future. They had 40 days left. But 40 days, as the galaxy would soon learn, was more than enough time for humanity to do the impossible. The journey through slipspace was quiet and boring. For 40 rotations, the Corvani Armada flew through a dimension where normal rules did not apply. The ships moved faster than light, crossing distances that would take thousands of years at normal speed. The crew slept, trained, and prepared for the mission ahead. Admiral Zirthax spent most of his time in his private quarters, reviewing battle plans. He did not expect much of a fight. Human ships were small and weak compared to Corvani warships. Their weapons could barely scratch Corvani shields. The battle would be quick and one-sided. Still, he prepared for every possibility. He had not survived 300 years by being careless. On the final day of the journey, Zirthax stood on the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, with his hands clasped behind his back. Around him, officers worked at their stations, checking systems and running final diagnostics. The mood was professional but confident. Everyone knew their job. Everyone was ready. Admiral, the navigation officer announced. We will exit slipspace in 3 minutes. Good, Zirthax said. All ships to battle positions, shields at maximum. Weapons hot. I want the bombardment to begin the moment we have clear targets. Acknowledgements came from across the fleet. 4,000 ships prepared for war, exiting slipspace in 30 seconds. Zerthax took a deep breath. In a few moments, he would give the order that would end a species. He would watch a planet burn. He would see billions of lives disappear in fire. It was necessary. He reminded himself. It was logical. It was right. 10 seconds. The bridge was completely silent. Every eye was on the main view screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The eternal judgment burst out of slipspace in a flash of light, followed by 4,000 warships in perfect formation. They emerged weapons ready, shields up, crews at battle stations. They found nothing. No human fleet rushed to meet them. No defense platforms opened fire. No satellites broadcast warnings or pleas for mercy. The space around Earth was completely, totally empty. Zerthax frowned. Report. His sensors officer leaned forward, his four hands moving across his console with practiced speed. His gray face slowly turned pale as he read the data. Admiral, he said, his voice shaking. I am not detecting any ships. No orbital stations. No satellites. No electronic activity of any kind. That is impossible. Check your equipment. I have checked it 3 times, Admiral. The readings are accurate. There is nothing in orbit. Nothing at all. Zerthax walked toward the main view screen and stared at the planet below. Earth was beautiful, blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It looked exactly like the images in the Council's databases, but it was silent. Show me the surface, Zerthax ordered. Maximum magnification. The view screen zoomed in on a human city. Tall buildings rose toward the sky. Roads connected neighborhoods and districts. Parks showed green among the concrete and steel, but there were no lights, no movement, no signs of life. Switched to thermal imaging. The image changed, showing heat signatures instead of visible light. A living city should glow with warmth. Millions of bodies, thousands of vehicles, countless machines all generating heat. This city was cold. Room temperature, the same as the air around it. Zerthax felt something strange in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it. Fear. He had not felt fear in over 200 years. Check other cities, he ordered, his voice barely a whisper. The view screen cycled through city after city, continent after continent. New York, cold. London, cold. Tokyo, cold. Mumbai, cold. Sao Paulo, cold. Every city on Earth was the same. Silent, dark, empty. Where are they? Someone asked. No one had an answer. Zerthax turned to his communications officer. Contact the Council. Tell them we need instructions. The situation is not what we expected. As the message was sent, Zerthax ordered landing parties to the surface. If the humans were hiding somewhere, he would find them. If this was some kind of trick, he would discover it. He would not return to the Council without answers. The first landing parties touched down in the empty streets of New York City. Corvani soldiers, armed with the best weapons in the galaxy, spread out carefully through the concrete canyons. Their boots echoed on empty sidewalks. Their sensors scanned every building, every room, every shadow. They found nothing alive, but they found plenty of evidence that people had been there recently. Very recently. In one home, they found a table set for dinner. Food sat on plates cold now, but not rotten. Cups were half full of liquid. Chairs were pulled back as if the people sitting in them had simply stood up and walked away. In another home, they found toys scattered on the floor. A child's drawing lay on a table, half finished. Crayons sat nearby, waiting for small hands that would never return. The soldiers searched apartment after apartment and found the same thing everywhere. Signs of normal life, frozen in a single moment. No bodies, no blood, no signs of struggle or violence, just absence. Admiral, a soldier's voice came through the communication system. We found clothes. Clothes? Yes, Admiral. Piles of clothes. In homes, in offices, on the streets. Like people just took them off and left. Or like they disappeared and their clothes fell to the ground. Zerthax closed his eyes. This was wrong. This was all wrong. He had come here to fight a war. He had come here to destroy an enemy. Instead, he had found a tomb. More reports came in from across the planet. All the same. Empty cities, cold homes, abandoned vehicles, clothes lying in piles, no bodies anywhere. 8 billion humans had lived on this planet 40 days ago. Now there was nothing but wind and silence. The Council's response to Zirthax's message arrived a few hours later. They were confused and concerned. They ordered him to investigate further and find out what had happened. Zirthax spent the next several days searching. His soldiers checked hospitals, military bases, government buildings. They explored underground bunkers and mountain hideouts. They scanned the oceans for submarines and the skies for hidden aircraft. Nothing. The humans were simply gone. Finally, Zirthax ordered his technicians to access human computer systems. If the humans had left any clues about where they went, it would be in their records. The technicians worked for days, breaking through security systems and translating human languages. What they found made Zirthax's blood run cold. The humans had known. Somehow, impossibly, they had intercepted and decoded the Council's secure communications. They had learned about the vote 3 cycles before it happened. They had known exactly when the Armada would arrive, and they had not wasted a single moment. Zirthax read the reports with growing horror. Project Exodus, the humans had called it. A plan to evacuate their entire species from Earth before the Corvani arrived. An impossible plan that should have taken centuries to complete. They had done it in 37 days. Zirthax sat alone on his bridge, staring at the silent planet below. He had come here as a conqueror. He had expected to feel victory. Instead, he felt something much worse. He felt very, very small. The humans were gone. They had slipped through the Council's fingers like water. And somewhere out there, in the infinite darkness between stars, they were building something new. Zirthax did not know where they had gone. He did not know how they had escaped. But he knew one thing with absolute certainty. The Galaxy Council had made a terrible mistake. And one day, the humans would make them pay for it. The Galaxy Council was in chaos. Representatives shouted at each other across the Grand Chamber. Accusations flew like weapons. Fear filled the air like poison. How did this happen? The Corvani Prime Minister demanded. How did primitive apes escape from the greatest fleet in galactic history? No one had a good answer. The Council sent their best investigators to Earth scientists, intelligence officers, and experts from 6 different species. Their mission was simple: find out how the humans had escaped, and more importantly, find out where they had gone. The investigation team arrived on Earth 3 weeks after Admiral Zirthax's fleet. They set up base in a human city called Geneva, where many important human organizations had kept their headquarters. The humans had left their computers running, their databases intact. It was almost like they wanted to be understood. The lead investigator was a Sileni scientist named Miravel. Unlike many on the Council, she had always been fascinated by humans rather than afraid of them. She had studied their art, their music, their history. She believed they were more than just violent primitives. Now, walking through their empty cities, she felt a deep sadness. Whatever had happened here, it was the end of something unique in the galaxy. Begin with their military databases, she ordered her team. If they planned an evacuation, the military would have been involved. Her team worked for days, breaking through security systems and translating millions of documents. Human languages were complex and strange, full of hidden meanings and emotional subtleties, but slowly, piece by piece, the truth began to emerge. The first breakthrough came from a young Morvathi technician who had been searching through communication records. "I found something," he said, his voice shaking with excitement. 3 days before the Council vote, there was a massive spike in encrypted human communications, military channels, government channels, scientific channels. Everything went crazy at the same time. Miravel leaned over his shoulder to look at the data. "They knew," she whispered. "They knew about the vote before it happened. But how? Our communications are encrypted with quantum keys. It should be impossible for anyone to break them." Miravel shook her head slowly. "We underestimated them. We always underestimated them. That was our first mistake." More discoveries followed. The investigators found records of emergency meetings held in secret locations around the world. They found orders sent to military bases, research facilities, and government offices. They found a single phrase repeated thousands of times in thousands of documents: Project Exodus. It took another week to understand what Project Exodus really was. When they finally did, the investigators sat in stunned silence, unable to believe what they were reading. The humans had built a network of devices they called fold gates. These machines could bend space itself. creating doorways between 2 points that could be millions of light years apart. A person could step through a fold gate and instantly appear on the other side of the universe. According to Council scientists, this kind of technology should not exist for another 10,000 years. The mathematics alone would take centuries to develop. The engineering would take centuries more. The power requirements were almost infinite. The humans had done it in secret. In less than 50 years. This is impossible. One of the Corvani investigators said, staring at the schematics. The energy required to fold space like this would require a star. Miravel finished for him. They learned how to harvest energy directly from their sun. Look at these readings. They built collectors in orbit around their star, hidden from our sensors. They had been preparing for something like this for decades. But why? The Corvani asked. Why build escape routes when they had no enemies? Miravel looked at him with sad eyes. Because they knew that eventually, someone would try to destroy them. They knew that the galaxy would see them as a threat. They hoped they were wrong. They prepared anyway. The final piece of the puzzle came from a secure server buried deep under a mountain in a region the humans called Switzerland. It contained a single file, a message addressed to the Galaxy Council. Miravel played it for the entire investigation team. A human appeared on the screen, a female with dark skin and gray hair. She wore a simple uniform with no decorations. Her eyes were tired but determined. My name is Dr. Amara Okonkwo, she said. I am the director of Project Exodus. If you are watching this, then your fleet has arrived and found our world empty. I am recording this message to explain what we have done and why. She paused, taking a deep breath. 3 days ago, we intercepted and decoded your council's communications. We learned that you voted to destroy us, to kill every man, woman, and child on Earth because you were afraid of what we might become. You did not send ambassadors. You did not try to talk to us. You simply decided that we were too dangerous to live. Her voice remained calm, but there was steel underneath. We had 37 days to save our species. Most people would say that is impossible. But you do not know humans very well. When we are afraid, we fight. When we are cornered, we become dangerous. When someone threatens our children, we do whatever it takes to protect them. The image changed to show massive circular structures being built around the world. Fold gates, Miravel realized. Hundreds of them. We built these gates in secret years ago, hoping we would never need them. We did not know where we would go, only that we needed a way out if the worst happened. Now the worst has happened, and we are leaving. The image returned to Dr. Okonkwo. We are taking everyone with us. 8 billion people. We are taking samples of every plant, every animal, every organism on Earth. We are taking our art, our music, our history, our dreams. We are taking everything that makes us human. She leaned closer to the camera. You tried to kill us because you feared what we might become. We understand fear. We have felt it, our entire history. But we have also learned that fear is a choice. You can let it make you into monsters, or you can use it to become something better. Her voice softened slightly. We are choosing to become something better. We are leaving this galaxy rather than fighting a war we do not want. We are choosing life over revenge, hope over hate. But we want you to know something. Her eyes hardened again. We will remember what you did. We will remember that you voted to murder innocent children because you were afraid. And one day, we will return. Not to hurt you, we are better than that now. But to show the galaxy what kind of civilization the Council truly is. The truth will come out, and you will have to answer for what you tried to do today. She smiled a small, sad smile. Oh, and one more thing. We took the whales. They asked to come. The recording ended. Silence filled the room. Miravel saved the file and stood up slowly. Her legs felt weak. Her mind was spinning with everything she had learned. Send this to the Council, she said quietly. Send everything we have found. They need to know. What do we tell them? One of her team asked. Miravel looked out the window at the empty streets of Geneva. Somewhere out there, beyond the edges of the galaxy, 8 billion humans were building a new home. They were growing stronger every day. They were remembering. Tell them the truth, she said. Tell them that we made enemies of the wrong species. Tell them that the humans are gone, but they will be back. She turned to face her team. And tell them to be very afraid of what they will be when they return. The message from Earth spread through the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Within days, Everyone knew what had happened. The mighty Galaxy Council had voted to commit genocide against a peaceful species, and that species had escaped, vanishing into the unknown with a promise to return. The reaction was immediate and explosive. In the Grand Chamber, the council members turned on each other like hungry animals. The Corvani blamed the intelligence services for failing to detect Project Exodus. The intelligence services blamed the scientists for underestimating human technology. The scientists blamed the politicians for rushing the vote. The politicians blamed everyone except themselves. Ambassador Vethril, who had argued so strongly for the attack, found himself standing alone. The representatives who had nodded at his words now looked at him with disgust. The allies who had supported his plan now claimed they had been fooled. "You told us they were primitives," the Sileni representative accused. "You told us they were dangerous animals who only knew violence. You said nothing about fold gates. You said nothing about technology that makes ours look like children's toys." "I did not know," Vethril said, but his voice sounded weak even to his own ears. "Our intelligence suggested. Your intelligence was wrong. Your plan was wrong. Everything about this was wrong." The Morvathi representative, who had voted against the attack from the beginning, stood up to address the chamber. "I warned you," he said, his deep voice echoing off the crystal walls. "I said this was evil. I said this was genocide. You did not listen. Now, look at what you have done. You have created an enemy that will haunt this council for generations. You have proven to the entire galaxy that we are exactly what the humans said we are: murderers who kill out of fear." He gathered his belongings and walked toward the exit. "The Morvathi Collective withdraws from this council. We will not be part of an organization that votes to slaughter children. We hope that history judges you as harshly as you deserve." He left without looking back. The chamber was silent. Over the next few months, 2 more species withdrew from the council. Others reduced their participation, sending junior representatives instead of senior leaders. The carefully built alliance that had controlled the galaxy for thousands of years began to crack. But the biggest blow came from an unexpected source. The Sileni representative had been quiet since the discovery on Earth. She had spent weeks reviewing all the evidence, all the communications, all the records from the council's debates, and one day, she did something that changed everything. She released it all to the public. Every encrypted message, every secret vote, every casual comment about cleaning up the spiral arm, every joke about pest control and removing the problem, every word that the council members had spoken behind closed doors, thinking no one would ever hear. The galaxy heard. Species that had never cared about politics suddenly became very interested. Species that had trusted the council suddenly began asking questions. Species that had been quiet suddenly started talking to each other about what they had learned, about what it meant for them. If the council could vote to destroy the humans, they asked, what would stop them from doing the same to us? The answer was clear: nothing. Young species began forming alliances outside council control. They shared technology. They built defense networks. They prepared for the day when the council might decide they were also too dangerous to exist. The council tried to restore order. They announced reforms. They promised transparency. They even offered to punish those responsible for the attack. Admiral Zirthax was the first sacrifice. He was quietly executed for failing his mission. Even though his mission had been impossible from the start, the humans were already gone before his fleet left port. But someone had to take the blame, and dead admirals could not defend themselves. Ambassador Vethril was next. He was stripped of his position and sent into exile on a frozen moon at the edge of Corvani space. The species that had followed his lead for centuries now pretended they had never heard of him. But the sacrifices were not enough. The damage was done. The council's reputation, built over 50,000 years of careful diplomacy, crumbled in a single generation. And always, in the background, was the question that no one could answer: where did the humans go? The council sent probe ships to search for them. They scanned nearby galaxies. They explored empty regions of space. They checked every unusual energy signature, every strange signal, every possible hiding place. They found nothing. The humans had vanished completely. Their fold gate technology left no trail, no residue, no clue about the destination. They could be in another galaxy. They could be in another dimension. They could be hiding in plain sight, watching and waiting. The uncertainty was worse than any direct threat. At least with an enemy you could see, you knew what to prepare for. but an enemy that could appear from anywhere, at any time, with technology you could not understand. That was the stuff of nightmares. Years passed. Then decades. The Council slowly stabilized, though it never recovered its former power. New alliances formed and grew strong. The galaxy changed in ways no one had predicted, but the memory of the humans remained. Stories spread from planet to planet, station to station, ship to ship. Some were exaggerated, some were invented, but all of them carried the same basic message. Once there was a species called humans. They were young and small and different from everyone else. The Council tried to destroy them, and they escaped. Parents told the stories to their children. Teachers taught them in schools. Artists painted images of empty Earth, of fold gates opening to unknown destinations, of 8 billion people stepping into the darkness rather than surrender to fear. The humans became legends, and like all legends, they grew larger with time. What will they be like when they return? Children asked. The adults had no answer, but they thought about it. Everyone thought about it. The humans had created fold gate technology in 50 years while hiding from the Council. They had evacuated an entire planet in 37 days while preparing for war. They had done things that should have been impossible, again and again. What would they accomplish in 100 years with no enemies to fight? What would they build in 500 years with unlimited resources and unlimited time? What would they become in 1,000 years of peace and growth and discovery? The Council tried not to think about it. But late at night, in quiet moments, even the most powerful leaders felt a chill run down their spines. Somewhere out there, in the infinite darkness, the humans were watching, growing, remembering. Earth remained, silent and beautiful, orbiting its yellow sun. The Council declared it a protected zone, a monument to their shame. No one was allowed to land there. No one was allowed to change anything. The cities still stood. The toys still lay on floors. The half-eaten meals still sat on tables, preserved now by the cold and the silence. A tomb for a species that refused to die. And a warning to anyone who might make the same mistake twice. The humans would return. Everyone knew it. The only questions were when, and what they would be when they arrived. The galaxy waited, and worried, and wondered, and somewhere, impossibly far away, humanity was doing exactly what the Council feared most. They were evolving. 400 years passed. The Galaxy Council still existed, but it was a shadow of what it had once been. Only 5 species remained as full members. Others had left or reduced their participation to almost nothing. The great alliance that had controlled the galaxy for 50,000 years now struggled to maintain peace in its own territory. New powers had risen to fill the empty space. The Morvathi collective had grown strong and respected. The young species that had once feared the Council now governed themselves in independent coalitions. The balance of power had shifted completely, but everyone still remembered the humans. The stories had become legends, and the legends had become myths. Some people said the humans had died in the darkness between galaxies. Some said they had evolved beyond physical form. Some said they were hiding just outside sensor range, waiting for the right moment to strike. The truth was stranger than any of them imagined. On an ordinary day in the 400th year since Project Exodus, signals began appearing across the galaxy. They came from everywhere at once, from the void between galaxies, from dimensions that scientists had sworn were unreachable, from places that should not exist according to every known law of physics. Billions of transmission sources, all broadcasting the same message in every known language. We forgive you. The Council went into emergency session. Military fleets moved to defensive positions. Sensors strained to detect the source of the signals. Everyone waited for the attack that seemed certain to come. Instead, they got something no one expected. Ships began emerging from holes in space, not slip space, not any kind of faster-than-light travel that anyone recognized. They simply appeared, as if stepping through invisible doors. The ships were beautiful. They looked nothing like the crude vessels the humans had built 4 centuries ago. These were works of art, flowing curves of crystal and light, pulsing with colors that hurt to look at directly. They moved through space without engines, without exhaust, without any visible means of propulsion. They did not fire weapons. They did not raise shields. They broadcast music, strange, haunting melodies that made listeners feel emotions they could not name. And then the messages started coming. This is Ambassador Yuki Tanaka of the Remembrance Collective, formerly known as Humanity. We request peaceful contact with the Galaxy Council. We come with open hands and open hearts. We wish only to talk. The Council did not know how to respond. Some wanted to attack immediately, to destroy the humans before they could attack first. Others wanted to surrender, to beg for mercy before it was too late. A few suggested actually talking, actually listening to what the humans had to say. In the end, curiosity won over fear. A meeting was arranged on neutral ground, an abandoned space station at the edge of Council territory. The human delegation arrived in a small ship that seemed to be made of solid light. When the door opened, a woman walked out. She was tall and slender, with dark hair and brown eyes that seemed older than her young face. She wore simple white clothing with no weapons, no badges, no signs of rank. Behind her came others, men and women of every color and type, all dressed the same, all moving with the same strange grace. The council representatives were waiting in the station's main hall. They had brought guards, translators, weapons hidden in their clothes. They were ready for anything, or so they thought. Ambassador Tanaka walked up to them and smiled. It was a genuine smile, warm and welcoming, with no trace of anger or hatred. "Thank you for meeting with us," she said. Her voice was gentle but carried easily through the large room. "We have traveled a long way to be here. We have much to share." The Corvani representative, a descendant of those who had voted for the attack, stepped forward with his chin raised in defiance. "You said you forgive us," he said. "That is a strange thing to say. We tried to destroy your species. We voted to kill your children. What is there to forgive?" Ambassador Tanaka's smile did not fade. "Everything," she said. "We forgive everything. We understand why you did what you did. You were afraid. Fear is the oldest enemy, older than war, older than hatred. We have learned this in our time away. We have learned many things." She spread her hands. 400 years ago, we fled into the darkness because we did not want to become what you feared. We did not want to prove you right. So we found a new home, far beyond the edges of any map. We built a new civilization there, without war, without scarcity, without the weight of enemies watching our every move. Her eyes grew distant, as if seeing things no one else could see. We explored realms you cannot imagine. We discovered truths that changed everything we thought we knew about the universe. We became something new, not better than what we were, but different, more complete. She looked at each council representative in turn. "We could have come back with weapons that would turn your stars to ash. We could have taken revenge for what you tried to do to us. But what would be the point? You would be dead, and we would be exactly what you feared. We would have let your hatred transform us into monsters." She shook her head. "We chose a different path. We chose to grow beyond revenge. We chose to become something worthy of the second chance the universe gave us." The Morvathi representative spoke up. His ancestors had voted against the attack, and his people had left the council in protest. "What do you want from us?" he asked. Ambassador Tanaka turned to him with respect in her eyes. "We want to share what we have learned. We have seen wonders that would take your breath away, dimensions of pure thought. Stars that sing songs you can hear across light years. Civilizations that exist in ways you cannot yet understand." She extended her hand. "We want to begin again, not as enemies, not as victims and attackers, but as fellow travelers in an infinite universe. We have so much to show you, and we believe you have things to teach us as well." The hall was silent. The council representatives looked at each other, uncertain what to do. Finally, slowly, the Morvathi representative reached out and took her hand. His fur bristled with emotion. "Our ancestors made a terrible mistake," he said. "We have spent 400 years regretting it. If you truly offer forgiveness, if you truly offer friendship." "We do," Ambassador Tanaka said. "Without conditions, without demands, simply because it is the right thing to do." The Corvani representative watched this exchange with unreadable eyes. 400 years of fear and guilt weighed on his shoulders. "How do we know this is not a trick?" he asked. "How do we know you will not destroy us the moment we lower our guard?" Ambassador Tanaka turned to face him. Her smile was sad but understanding. "You do not know," she admitted, "just as we did not know if we would survive when we fled into the darkness. Trust is always a risk. But we have learned that the alternative, living in constant fear, always waiting for the attack that might never come, is no life at all." She offered him her hand as well. "We are asking you to take a chance on us, just as we are taking a chance on you. Perhaps we are both foolish. Or perhaps this is the beginning of something beautiful. The Corvani hesitated for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached out and took her hand. Outside the station, human ships hung in space like jewels. Inside, former enemies took the first steps toward becoming something else. And above Earth, which had been restored to its former beauty, a new monument orbited in silence. A ring of stone inscribed with the words humanity had chosen to remember themselves by. They tried to bury us. They did not know we were seeds. The galaxy had tried to destroy humanity. Instead, they had created something better than anyone could have imagined. The Council's strike had come too late, but so had their chance to prevent what humanity was always destined to become, and in the end, that was exactly how it should be.